The Commanders signed wide receiver Terry McLaurin to a 3-year, $96 million extension. Patriots released safety Jabril Peppers after 3 years with the team. And Cowboys trade defensive end Micah Parsons for 2 first-round picks and a 3-time Pro Bowl defensive tackle Kenny Clark. CFL news and more on episode 99 of Total Football Talk. Welcome, one and all. It's that time again. We're back for Total Football Talk, episode 99. And it wouldn't be a regular edition without cueing this. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Ryan McCarthy.
So which part's the squiggly and which part's the wiggly?
That's a good question. As we are here on a different day, it does feel a little squiggly. You know, it's kind of an offsetting day, but we're here on Saturday. Thank you to those of you who are tuning in as well on a different day than we normally drop episodes live. Because for the jersey that I'm wearing today, if you've been watching the content, I had a former teammate that passed away in head-on collision 13 days ago. And we celebrated his life the past 2 days. So, had to step away and be there, with my friends and for his family. And there's many things to come that we'll be announcing here, on this platform to help contribute with that. So, but for today, to start the episode out, I wanted to wear my Cubs jersey and I wanted to wear the blue sunglasses that I'll be wearing on the field with the Cubs to get this thing started. Yes, we are a football show, but we love all sports. And I might be confused today drinking from a Braves cup wearing a Cubs jersey. But don't hate on me. It's Saturday. I do whatever I want, Ryan McCarthy.
That's okay. It's America, baby. That's what America is. You could drink with a Braves cup and wear a Cubs jersey or a Phillies jersey, however you feel like. But hey, it's free country, man. Do what you want.
It absolutely.
Like Cartman said, whatever I do, I want.
Whatever I do, what I want.
Do what I want.
GDP. This makes me think of right here in this moment as we are live for episode 99 of Total Football Talk, brought to you by Surtoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome. We've got a lot in store for today's episode. We're going to go ahead and start it on out with the opening drive. Discuss a little Canadian football.
All right, let's go. We got trips, right? At 42, 989. On two. Ready? Quick.
We got news within the NFL we're going to be breaking, today, but we got to start this out with CFL, Canadian football. And Ryan, there were some games this past weekend that looked like this. Absolute trash, my brother. All right. Look terrible. I'm going ham today because I'm feeling it. Got the fire back, ready to rock and roll because there were certain teams out there this past week in week 12 that absolutely looked like these right here. A bunch of dumpster pelicans, groups of dumpster pelicans standing on top of Food Lion bags. There might be a Publix bag. There looks like there's a fanny pack under that one with the big old toe right there. Might be a Webby, whatever the thing.
Is that a Hannaford bag right there? Because Hannaford and Food Lion are from the same company, FYI.
I don't know. I might need new glasses, but the point is they absolutely sucked, Ryan McCarthy. I'm trying to be as nice as I possibly can, but I don't know if that's possible today. I'm just not feeling it. Feeling like going off. Just like when I was talking to you in the green room about Jonathan Cena, okay? That's not going to be the last time you hear me say that this weekend, I promise, because I got one more podcast tomorrow. But let's keep it into football. Let's talk about the first game that we had. As last Thursday, we covered that one on this show, and that was between the Blue Bombers and the Alouettes, and that was because we were here on Friday, and now that we're here on a different day, things will change as far as coverage. So let's take it on into the Friday games and see what we have in store for that one. I looped it for the dumpster pelican. Don't hate, bro. I looped it for the dumpster pelican. I saw it coming. I was like, I'm going to get burned on my own platform, but it's okay.
No.
Right here and now, we got the Friday game. And that
unlike other content creators, I'm more forgiving, Drew.
Yes, you are. You are forgiving. But I was not forgiving of myself because I just gave myself a hard time on live airwaves. I acknowledge that I took the big old fell stinking. Maybe. But to all of you out there in the chat who are just now joining us, no matter if you're watching on YouTube, X, or on Twitch. What's that? We're going to talk about this game right here. The Edmonton Elks and the Ottawa Redblacks. The Elks on a winning streak over the past several weeks. The Redblacks still looking like the Redblacks. Absolutely terrible for the most part. Cody Fajardo, 22 of 28, 270 passing yards and an interception, along with 5 carries for 57 yards and a touchdown as well. Justin Rankin had 14 carries for 36 whopping rushing yards. Congratulations, my brother, but you got a touchdown in the end zone, and that's why you're still okay in my book. You had 5 receptions for 58 yards as well in there, so combined, you had a little over 90 total all-purpose yards. You did a great job. I'm proud of you. Curly Gittens Jr., 6 receptions, 71 receiving yards, along with Tanner Green's 3 receptions for 33 receiving yards. The Elks' total penalties on the day were 4 for 49 yards. Didn't hurt them too much because they still got the dub. Elks defense, 3 sacks on the day. When you look over to the other side of it, when you look at the Redblacks, who looked absolutely miserable for the majority of this game, in my opinion, Dustin Crum was the highlight of it because he only had 6 incompletions and didn't have any turnovers. 23 of 29 for 277 passing yards and a passing touchdown, along with 10 carries for 59 yards and a rushing touchdown, combining for 2 overall touchdowns on the day. Their lead running back, William Stanback, 9 carries for 48 rushing yards, along with 4 receptions for 37 reception yards as well. Keelan White had 5 receptions for 68 receiving yards, and Andre Miller added 3 receptions for 54 yards and a touchdown. The Redblacks defense, absolutely trash because they only had 2 sacks, but they did muster up that 1 interception by Cody Fajardo that he threw to them. And can you help me out with the pronunciation of this dude's name? Allende Ele.
Allende Ele.
I was close. Still better than Laram Honolulu. So I mean, we'll get to him in a few minutes. But Redblacks total penalties on the day, 2 for 15 yards. Looking back at this game right here, what were the overall impacts to it, and as to why the Elks were able to pull away with another victory?
The lesson that we learned here is that if you're the Ottawa Redblacks, you don't want to fall behind early, because this game was at the half. It was 24-7 Edmonton at the half, and Edmonton only scored 10 more points the rest of the game, but they need those 10 points to get themselves the insurance that they need to get the W and keep their momentum going. And
the W.
Get that W. But look, I said it last week. I'm gonna repeat it what I said this week. The Edmonton Elks on offense look miles different with Cody Fajardo in the lineup as your quarterback.
Facts.
Yeah. And Cody Fajardo, proven winner, won a Grey Cup with my Montreal Alouettes 2 years ago. And he's still slinging the rock, and he's that veteran presence that this young team needs to be successful. And he's the guy. he's the guy that you should stick with the rest of the season. I did say that it would have killed Trey Ford's confidence if they put Cody Fajardo. They kept switching off Cody Fajardo and Trey Ford. This is Cody's team right now. This is Cody's team, and I think Trey Ford has accepted the fact that this is Cody's team, and good for him for doing that. But if Cody gets hurt, you gotta be ready, Trey. You gotta be ready. Elks defense, good for them. 3 sacks, didn't force any turnovers, but 3 sacks is a good thing. If you get more than 2 sacks or more than 0 sacks in a game, you certainly have chances to win. Ottawa, give them credit for at least trying to come back. But if you fall behind early, if you fall behind early, you got to make up a lot of points. It's not going to go in your favor, especially since Dustin Crum's your quarterback currently. Because if it was Drew Brown, we saw what happened with them a couple weeks ago when they went down 22-1 after the first quarter against Toronto. They came back because Drew Brown was throwing the ball around. But this is a vastly different team with Dustin Crum in the lineup because it's a different skill set. Can use his legs to his advantage. He had 10 carries for 59 yards and a touchdown, but he doesn't give you that air it out, big chunk play game that Drew Brown does, like we saw a couple weeks ago in Toronto. So if you're Ottawa, you better pray that Drew Brown is not going to be out for long term. I know he hurt his knee against Winnipeg in that game against Winnipeg. Knee injuries are, they take a while to come back from. And we saw. I've been watching the America's Team, the Gambler and his Cowboys documentary on Netflix, and we saw what happened in '91 when Troy Aikman went down. They rode with Steve Berline the rest of the year, got to the playoffs, and they got absolutely stomped against Detroit. And Troy Aikman wound up playing in garbage time. So. But yeah, Ottawa's a much different team offensively with Drew Brown in the lineup, and Cody Fajardo doing his thing with Edmonton. They're riding a 3-game winning streak right now, man. So that's a team to watch out for in the West. I had them dead to rights a few weeks ago, but they're starting to creep up in the standings. So could we? Now I know the crossover rule. I'll explain the crossover rule when we get to the end, towards the end. When I look at the standings. There is a crossover rule where divisions, if the division leader, if different teams in the division have more points than the other team, they can cross over into the other division. With the East looking at like it does, you could see BC. Now I don't know if you could see Edmonton possibly sneak in a playoff spot because the East is so bad right now. I don't know how that works. If we could possibly have 2 teams. Cross over into the same division or make the playoffs. So we'll see I'll look at the rules for that. But Edmonton's playing great right now with Cody Fajardo as your quarterback. Their defense is starting to improve. It's going to take them a couple weeks. It's going to take them a good month to get settled in. But this team is starting to pick up momentum, and they're starting to build a good thing. And we'll see what happens this week against Calgary, because they got to go to Calgary on Labor Day and play the Stampeders. But and they're starting to make some noise in the West, and they can make more noise if they beat Calgary this week. So good on Edmonton, Ottawa, and I'm starting to think that this season's a big loss for them, which is unfortunate because I had them pegged as a possible Grey Cup contender in November.
Yep, just goes to show it's tough to have pre-season predictions until you get at least to the midway point. And this 3-game winning streak has been nice for them. The one thing I'm concerned about, even if we do get another 9-10 weeks out when we're getting closer to playoff time, they still have the fewest amount of points scored in the entire league, between both divisions. So right now it's still, I wouldn't say it's as long shot as it was 3 weeks ago, because then we didn't see any chance. Now you're saying there's a chance. We have a chance is what it's feeling like over there in Edmonton. And if you keep playing the type of ball that you are, it's not really going to matter by the end of the season how many points you scored if you keep this momentum up. but you've got to win, and you got to win the big games, because as we'll talk about with Saskatchewan and Calgary, like Calgary is Saskatchewan's kryptonite. And I'll go more into that like here in a little bit, because they like the 2 wins, the 2 losses they have this year are against Calgary. So it's very interesting how things are starting to pan out now, as we are now through 12 weeks of the season, about to head into week 13.
Yeah.
But we are just a little over the midway point, and we're starting to see teams like the Redblacks right here and now crumble against a team that 2 weeks ago, even after that first of what we've seen is 3 straight wins for the Elks, even after that win, I still, if you were to fast forward to today, from that day, I still would believe that the Elks would have lost to the Redblacks today. But unfortunately for the Redblacks, they're going downhill, because all things that go up must still roll downhill. You know what I'm saying? Trying to say it in the most appropriate term. But the Elks are picking up from where they did roll downhill last year, and they look like a formidable team now.
Yep.
So very interesting to see how things will pan out for that moving forward. We do have some comments here in the live chat. Want to acknowledge here before we move forward with the program, as that was our Friday game here for the slate. Let's see what we got. Sick Diggy's in the house saying, "What's good, everybody?"
What's
Along
good,
with Yo from Corey Man, our man with 2 wins, was just here a little while ago with another fire production, talking about the Clash in Paris predictions and what he's thinking is going to happen. And I had to drop my dime on Jonathan Cena, and I'm telling you, I'm going to talk more about it tomorrow. I promise.
Nice.
And 6 says, not just a fanny pack, but also a pager and a 90s cell phone while wearing an ugly pair of Zubaz pants. Since when did Zubaz design their pants for dumpster pelicans?
Hey, don't, no. We don't talk badly about Zubaz pants on this program. We pay respect to Zubaz pants. I wore Zubaz pants when I was a teenager. We pay respect.
I want to say something.
And my Albany Firebirds back in 91 rocked the Zubaz uniforms. Look it up. They're awesome.
But did you drive a Pontiac Firebird?
No, I wasn't old enough to drive then.
But if you were that dedicated to the Firebirds, you would have a Pontiac Firebird in the 90s, Ryan McCarthy.
I know, but I was only 13 when the team came to town.
Oh, crap.
Yeah.
Well, you still are an adult now. You could have made it happen in your adult life.
Listen, when I win Powerball, I will buy a Pontiac Firebird. I'll find one and buy one. I'll try to restore it myself, because I probably will quit my job. But
hey, fun fact: I actually did play the Mega Millions last night, and then I went to sleep. I put the actual the microphone. I put the actual slip into my toolbox in the garage, and then I went to bed. And I just thought about it. I forgot all about it. So I need to check if I won. It'd be pretty wild if I've been just going about this day being a paper millionaire and I didn't even know, or billionaire. Yeah, hey, I doubt it. This is not happening. It was $5. It was like,
I actually, my first car was a Pontiac Sunbird, though.
Okay, so you had the Bird.
Close enough. I had a
still
Bird.
had the Pontiac. You're still rocking the Bird, so you still represent your team that way. But between what we were saying, Corey was absolutely loving it. As I was going off on Jonathan Cena, we were talking about Zubaz pants. We kind of went all over the place. I mean, I'm pretty sure Jonathan Cena in his day wore a pair of Zubaz pants in the 90s. That was his time.
I'm sure that he did. That's for sure.
I mean, I really don't give an expletive, to be honest, but since we're on the topic, I might as well just keep it going. But here and now, I'm in the minority here with the Zubaz pants. What the hell is Zubaz pants? Sounds like a dude, Zubac, that play for the Clippers.
Corey, it was a majestic time called the 1990s. It was glorious.
And it also did this. It also did this to you. Because it did.
I'm pretty sure that song came out in the 90s too. Corey, had to be there.
And 6 says, you're right, Ryan McCarthy. I should respect the Zubaz.
Yeah, that's right. Respect the
Zubaz. Something we'd never really see that often on our program, and you humbled Sick. Is Ryan now dubbed as
okay?
Sure, listen, LeBron James.
God no.
They were sporting Zubaz back in the 80s.
Corey, go to Zubaz.com. That's all I gotta say. Just look.
There's a website you can still buy them.
Yeah, you can still buy Zubaz. Yeah, but I think they're they're subsidiary of New Era.
You guys want to hear a fucking story?
The fact that it has a website is ridiculous.
Yeah,
That's
man.
the end of the story.
Yeah, buddy.
That's how I'm feeling. That's how I'm feeling. But with all that being said, let's move it on into our next set of games. So on Saturday, we had 2 games, correct? Or was there one? Yeah, it was 2. It was 2 Saturday games. We didn't have any on Sunday because we had the BC Lions and the Toronto Argonauts. And it looked a little bit like this. Pretty lopsided. The Argonauts winning 52-34 in this contest. Nick Arbuckle went video game on that defense of the BC Lions. 26-33 for 430 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, along with 3 carries for 8 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. Spencer Brown had 19 carries for 85 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown as well, along with 3 receptions for 34 receiving yards. Jake Herslow hauled in 5 catches for 149 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. Dejon Brissett had 4 receptions for 118 receiving yards. The defense for the Argos mustered up 2 sacks, a fumble recovery, and an interception by Benji Franklin. Our man Liram getting the action for special teams. Still 2 years into this program, and I can't pronounce the dude's name. But his first name is Liram, and he plays for the Toronto Argonauts, and he's the kicker. 3 completed field goals out of 3 attempts for 14 total points. MVP of the team. No, but he still made an impact. On the other side, for the BC Lions, Nathan Rourke had 20 completed passes out of 31 attempts for 326 passing yards, along with 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. He did have 1 carry for 47 yards, Ryan McCarthy. If you have 47 yards on 1 carry, wouldn't you think you'd run the ball a second time, maybe a third time, or even a 10th time? Because 47 yards on 1 carry should encourage you to run the ball a little bit more than once. I digress. I'll let you answer that once I read off these last little bit of stats. James Butler, 11 carries for 83 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns, along with Keon Hatcher's 7 receptions for 137 receiving yards, and Jafon Katoy's 3 receptions for 50 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. The Lions defense put up 3 sacks on the day, and they had 5 total penalties as a team for 36 yards. Rewind back to Nathan Rourke for the BC Lions. And the fact that he had 1 carry for 47 yards and you lose the game by 18 points. If you're the coach, wouldn't you say, oh, Nate boy, Nate dog, let's let you run the ball a second, third, fourth, or at least a 5th time before we quit on the running game?
I remember for the highlights, I didn't get a chance to watch the highlights before I came on air like a second time because I watched them the first time. That might have been from a broken play where he had to scramble and he wound up just getting 47 yards. If I remember correctly, I'll have to watch those highlights again just to confirm. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll put something on the community board for you on the YouTube side. But Drew, the BC Lions had a 14-3 lead at the end of the first quarter in this game. 14-3. And then the Argonauts scored 7 touchdowns. 7 consecutive touchdowns. I mean, yes, you want to include Liram Hairoalu's 3 field goals too, but they scored. I'm sorry, they scored 5 touchdowns. I'm sorry, they scored 5 touchdowns, and they got a defensive touchdown too because that Benji Franklin interception was a pick 6. He was returned for a touchdown. So they managed to score 25 points in the second quarter. It was 28-21 at the end of the first half. And then Toronto just kept rolling. It kept rolling along. It found Jake Herslow, 149 yards, 2 touchdowns. Great effort out of him. They might have found another gem in there and their receiving core is just too bad that they're currently 3-8. But hey, got a long ways to go for the season. This is what the CFL is all about. Get 21 weeks to do something. And yeah, and Nick Arbuckle. Yeah, this game was like it was like a Madden game with the settings turned off, and it was just throw, run here and there. And
like on rookie difficulty or something.
On rookie difficulty with all the settings off.
Jesus, dude.
Yeah, I mean, both quarterbacks had over 300 yards passing. Nick Arbuckle had over 400 yards passing, 430 yards, and he's throwing his arm off. But he only had 7 incompletions in this game. So, hey, beauty on him to get the job done. But Toronto's defense, we talked about them having a big letdown a few weeks ago against Ottawa. Coming into this game, you're thinking to yourself, we both picked this game. We both picked the BC Lions in this game. We both picked them to win because we figured Toronto's defense was toast at the end of this, and they had to over rely on their offense to get the scoring done, so we make the score look respectable. But hey, big props to the defense for coming through, getting a pick 6, and also keeping the BC Lions off the board for the most part. But I gotta say, the Toronto Argonauts offense had a very efficient day. They were 17-24 on second down, 65.2% on second down. You're gonna win games if you convert 65% of your second downs. Yes, I said second downs. For those of you who are uneducated in the ways of the CFL, there are only 3 downs in the CFL, not 4 downs like in college football or the NFL here in the States. But man, this was just BC. You gotta go back to the drawing. It's a good thing you had the week off this week. There's only 6 teams. 6 of the 9 teams that are playing this week. I'm gonna address a little bit of that in my final thoughts. Like why isn't Ottawa and Montreal playing this weekend? That's a rivalry. They're only 2.5 hours apart. So I don't know, but Toronto, they proved me wrong in this game. They proved Drew wrong in this game. That was clearly the upset of the week in my eyes, because BC was favored in this game, and Toronto just absolutely after the first quarter, turned the tide and put a whooping stick on the BC Lions and their offense, and just kept scoring and scoring and scoring. I don't think they had any punts in this game, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check the stats. Punting, three punts for 150 yards. So they did punt in this game, but I think all those punts came in the first half. But I'll double check the game. But man, this was a game that BC had to have to keep in the standings in the West, because you want to. I don't say you want to avoid the crossover, but you don't want to travel in a playoff game from the West Coast all the way to the East Coast for a playoff game. You want to stay in relatively close to home, or try to get a home game in the Western semifinals. So, but this is the game that BC had to have, and they just laid a gigantic egg from the second quarter on, and got a lot to say about them. My sneak preview, just foreshadowing for later for Snowflake of the Week. They might be on that list.
Well, in case those of you out there are just now tuning in, oh yeah, it's time! Breaking news!
We got breaking news.
Breaking news is this. Ryan and I were absolutely wrong with our picks last week for our predictions for week 12. And that is the breaking news if you are just now tuning in.
Acknowledge me.
We acknowledge that we sucked at that pick last week. That's the acknowledgement.
I thought you had actual like news from the NFL or something. I was like, oh man, it's coming. Oh,
no, it's 5:00 on a Saturday. There's not going to be.
It's 5:00 on a Saturday.
Yeah,
that's all I'll sing because of copyright.
That, and there's probably some adult beverages in there for them out there somewhere. So actually isn't a bad idea
I'll
for tonight.
I'll be enjoying some adult beverages after this. So hey.
I might too, man. I might just Uber somewhere and go do that.
There you go.
I might have to do so. You might. I don't know. I have been getting out quite a bit here lately. But hey, that's besides the point. We're back for Total Football Talk right here now because of that game that we just covered was absolutely terrible. So let's go ahead and talk about one that was slightly better, but not by much. And I mean, kind of. I mean, the only reason why it's going to be better is because I'm going to get hyped about saying the team's name here in a second. Let's go ahead and take it on into that second Saturday game. Second Saturday game was between these two teams right here, the Saskatchewan Roughriders and the Calgary Stampeders on this Saturday, 7 p.m. contest between these two teams in Calgary. And when we look at this contest right here, Ryan, it was pretty lopsided like the other game. I might have just put a little bit too much hype into it, but hey, I'm trying to have something to celebrate here. The fact that I get to talk about my Saskatchewan Roughriders, but not in the most flattering way. As for the Calgary Stampeders, Vernon Adams Jr. went 14-21 for 222 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. He did have 2 carries on the day, but only for 11 total rushing yards. Dedrick Mills had 16 carries on the day for 78 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown, along with 3 receptions for 27 receiving yards. Dalen Baldwin had 3 receptions for 84 yards and a touchdown, along with Jalen Philpott had 3 receptions for 51 yards and a touchdown. Stampeders total penalties, 5 on the day for 77 yards. Their defense had 4 sacks and 2 interceptions, one by Sheldon Arnold and the other by Godfrey Onyeka. Did I say that right? Did I say that right, Ryan McCarthy? Did I pronunciate it right? Onyeka, because I'm about to get hype on here because I said it right the first time.
Godfrey Onyeka.
I think I just said that.
You might have done it, yeah.
I think I did. I need to have the applause in the background. You guys out there in the chat, if you feel like giving it, you can do it. Mr. McCarthy did. I'm good. We're back. They had 1 field goal on the day as a team by Rene Paredes, who completed 1 field goal out of 1 attempt and had 6 total points on the day. Trevor Harris for the Saskatchewan Roughriders had 15 completed passes. 15 completed passes out of 23 attempts for 205 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And here we go with the 1 carry BS. He had 1 carry for 5 rushing yards. AJ Olette had 15 carries for 65 rushing yards, along with 4 receptions for 25 receiving yards, having a total of 90 all-purpose yards for the day, but it still wasn't enough for my beloved Saskatchewan Roughriders. Dante Myers, 3 receptions for 32 receiving yards and a touchdown, along with Keyshawn Johnson's 4 receptions for 112 receiving yards, rounded out the receiving corps. The Roughriders defense had 2 interceptions, one by Jameer Thurman and the other by Roland Milligan. The Roughriders total penalties on the day, 4 for 50 yards, which wasn't as bad as the winning team, but it's still bad because you got penalized. Looking at this, am I overreacting by not saying the Saskatchewan Roughriders and just saying the Saskatchewan Roughriders because they played like crap in my opinion?
Yeah, they got rough ridden in the second half. Thank you, folks. I'll be here all week.
Something else came to mind, but it's not appropriate for the airwaves.
No, it's not. It's not appropriate for these airwaves because we're trying.
Actually, like 5 different things came through my mind. That's how bad of a person I am, I guess.
We're trying to sell. We're trying to sell this show, folks.
We are.
Inquire within. No, this was a tale of, again, another tale of 2 halves. Saskatchewan and Calgary were pretty tight going into the locker room. It was 15-14 Saskatchewan at the half, and then Calgary took over and shut out the Roughriders from second half on. Outscored them 18-0 in that final in that second frame, and that defense, the defense of Calgary just took over. And there was a debate on my friend of the show, friend of No Credentials Required, the Rod Peterson show, friend of the show. Shout out to Rod if you're watching. There was a debate on what I won't say a debate, but there was a kind of a statement that Rod said is saying if Calgary is the best team in the CFL right now, because when you look at the records, I mean the standings right now, it shows Saskatchewan is 8-2 and Calgary is 7-3. But Calgary has beaten Saskatchewan twice. That's those two losses for Saskatchewan were by the hands of Calgary. And I guess you could argue that, you know, Ottawa swept Calgary in the season, so they should be the best team in the CFL. But look at their record. They're terrible. Calgary is legit, man. I mean, this team was absolute trash last year. Absolute garbage. And the fact that they've turned it around in the span of a year, bringing in some key pieces for their defense, bringing in some having the number one pick in the draft, and Mario Alford making a difference on their team. Also, it's very interesting, Drew, that on your rundown is that you have Calgary stats in green, and you have Saskatchewan stats in red.
Well, yeah, because the winning team gets the green.
I understand, but it's just really funny that it's just that way.
Yeah, well, it's like I was saying earlier. The Stampeders are the Roughriders' kryptonite.
Yes.
It's what it seemed like during this season, because the Stampeders have just had their number in both games. The only two losses the Roughriders have suffered have been against this team.
Yeah, this was a closer game than it was about a month or so ago when Calgary traveled to Saskatchewan, had to wait a day for the smoke to clear from the wildfires out west in Western Canada and play a game. This was a closer matchup in terms of the first half was very close, and then Calgary just took over in the second half. 4 total sacks, 2 interceptions, and Trevor Harris didn't look like Trevor Harris in this game. You wanted him to play like the MVP candidate that he is, and he did not have a great game. 15-23, 205 yards, still threw 2 touchdowns, but he threw those 2 interceptions, and one of them was an absolute steal. I think the one by Godfrey Onyeka, that was an absolute steal because he just took the ball out of the receiver's hands as they were getting the ball. And the other one by Arnold was just a straight up pickup.
Arnold,
but Sheldon Arnold picking up something to football for my Calgary Stampeders. Yeah, this was just a dominant second half by the Calgary Stampeders, and this was a team. This is a battle of 2 heavyweights. This was the game that was going to basically say, all right, which of these teams is the best team in the CFL right now? Even though they are 1 game behind, they're 2 points behind the standings. For me, right now, the Calgary Stampeders are the best team in the CFL. You couldn't say that about them last year. Absolutely, you couldn't, because they were garbage last year.
You couldn't.
It's true.
You couldn't. They needed additional buds. That's why, with you saying that, it even requires this.
Oh, my brother, testify.
Because you were testifying. Straight up. So, but
my brothers and sisters out in the chat.
Yeah.
I'm testifying to the greatness. Well, I say the greatness, but I'm testifying to the best team in the CFL, is Calgary Stampeders.
I think when it comes to our preaching skills, Bishop Bullwinkle would say,
Hell to the no, to the no, 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 no. Hell no, to the no.
And even
I can't pull out the Southern preacher. I'm sorry, I can't do it.
Nah, that's not a total
Surprise, motherfucker.
Not, because I can't do it either. But
I'm a Northern boy too, so I can't pull off the Southern preacher.
But one thing's for sure is that the majority of the games, I mean, even when you go back and you look at the Thursday night game right here that we covered last week, all of these games were pretty lopsided. They weren't even close. So, I mean, there were a couple that qualified for dumpster Pelican games of the week. And, you know, we could say that the Argonauts and the Lions, that was the upset of the week. And nothing is deserving for game of the week. So that should not be a surprise to you all out there in the chat. But the one thing that is pretty interesting, I got to say, is that the two of them, Sick Diggy and our guy with two ends, our man with two ends, Corey Mann, they're going back and forth about these Zubaz pants still. Y'all going out to go back and forth about clothing. We're talking about football. Love it. It's awesome. Hey, whatever floats your boat out here in these streams. But the Roughriders got stampeded.
They did.
That's facts.
They got beat around. Don't forget to get to the chopper.
Get to the chopper. Yeah.
No. Yeah.
No.
Get down. No. Get to the chopper.
Ooh, and Calgary Stampeders just put out a tweet a few minutes ago. They're wearing black on Labor Day. That's going to be pretty sweet.
Nice. So hopefully, I just want some more competitive football because this is the last. This is the last real. This is the last weekend where the CFL is the only real football until next week. You know, when the NFL season starts. So, with all that being said, we'll see how things start out for the NFL this upcoming week, which we got a few things we'll talk about when we come back and get to the Gridiron Scoop that involve the NFL. But because we just finished the opening drive, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we still have the Grand Champ, the Gridiron Scoop, the Snowflake of the Week, and the 2-minute drill before the post game. We'll see you all here at the end of this quick commercial break.
All right, let's go. We got trips, right? At 42, 989 on 2. Ready? Hey.
We're just getting started. Total Football Talk will return right after this. Join Ryan McCarthy.
I became a Jets fan because Kermit the Frog was my favorite Muppet because he was green, and the Jets wore green. That's how I became a Jets fan.
And Dustin Henry.
ESPN is cashing all in on let's pay a few personalities and we'll just kind of fill in the gaps.
As they walk you through all of the world of sports from their perspective.
The Albany Empire, it's a literal circus.
No credentials required. Where, Ryan, say the tag.
Where you don't need a press pass to talk sports.
Live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central on YouTube and where you can find podcasts.
Hey, what's good, everybody? This your boy Corey, host of The Grind, where we talk about all things WWE. You can catch The Grind every single Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern. 4 p.m. Eastern, right here on Sertoba Media. If you're not following Sertoba Media, then what are you doing? Like, share, subscribe. There are many different things that we have available on Sertoba Media for your viewing pleasure. And what else you got to do on a Saturday afternoon? Come spend some time with me. Come spend some time with my colleagues on this platform. Help us be able to bring everything that you all want to see. Matter of fact, you know what? If you ain't did it yet, I got something for you. Stay true to what you do. Stay true to why you do. And always stay true to you.
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Do you like talking sports? Do you like entertainment? Do you like the occasional series of heated discussions?
Are you in and out, Drew?
With that said,
Drew, I'm hearing a bunch of stuff in your mind. I know you know this team very well. Are you in and out, my friend?
Then you must see this. Drew Willingham versus random panelists. Who wins? You decide on the In or Out Sports Debate. Live. Whenever the we feel like it. Eastern Standard Time. Exclusively on Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Where my dogs at? As we are back, Cowboys trade Micah Parsons to the Packers, our main topic for today's episode. But right now, we're here for the grand champ of the week. And Mr. McCarthy, with your choice, who did you select this week as your pick for the grand champ of the week?
All right, my grand champ of the week is the aforementioned Calgary Stampeder defense. After a 15-point first half, allowing up 15 points in the first half, they certainly tightened things up against the Saskatchewan Roughriders on Saturday night, forcing 4 turnovers in the form of 2 sacks, two interceptions, and 2 turnovers on downs. They had 4 sacks against this Saskatchewan Roughriders offense, who's been pretty good in pass protection this year, but their defensive line has been monstrous this season, and it proved the point was proved in this game. 4 sacks on Trevor Harris, and on their way to a big win to get closer to the first place in those West Division standings, which is very important because they finish first, they get a bye. So they finish second, they get a home. They get a home game in the Western Finals, or the Western Semifinals. So Calgary Stampeders defense, they're my grand champ of the week.
Nice selection there, sir. That was a good one, with their unit. And I took it into a solo individual to give a little praise because the team has usually been so bad that I haven't had a way to really get him on here because he hasn't played well enough to get on here. And my choice this week for the grand champ of the week is Nick Arbuckle of the Toronto Argonauts. 26 of 33 on the day for 430 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, along with 8 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. For that and the fact that the Argonauts got a respectable win, even though the defense on the other side kind of just laid a huge egg, as like you described earlier. I got to give him credit where it's due. He didn't turn the ball over, and he scored 4 touchdowns. And for that, he qualifies as my choice of the grand champ of the week there, Mr. McCarthy.
There you go. Yeah, solid pick. Well deserved.
Yep, and I don't know how many more times he'll be on here for the rest of the season, but at least he made it up here one time. Congratulations, Nick Arbuckle of the Argonauts. And we'll go ahead and take this on into the Gridiron Scoop and discuss some NFL topics for the remaining part of this segment right here. Started off with the Washington Commanders. A little bit of snippy action as Mr. McCarthy was doing because they signed wide receiver Terry McLaurin to a 3-year, $96 million extension this past week. Do you believe that Terry continues to excel during this contract and earn all of the incentives based within said paperwork?
Yeah, I like the fact that this contract is incentive laden because it gives him goals to shoot for. And he was already an elite receiver coming into this season. Had a great season last year, helped Jaden Daniels have the season that he had, earning him the Rookie of the Year in his behalf. And he helps. He's so good at helping out whichever quarterback is in the backfield. Jaden Daniels, Marcus Mariota, whoever is in the backfield and at quarterback for the Commanders, he's going to help them out. And he made this contract. I don't know if it was him or the Commanders made this contract incentive laden. That gives them goals to shoot for. I love incentive laden contracts. The only incentive laden contract I didn't like was Ricky Williams' rookie deal. If you looked at that one, that was a horrible deal. And I know he was he wanted to earn his paycheck in a way, but that's a rookie. So you got to give him at least some change. But Terry McLaurin, yeah, he's already an elite receiver in this league. He's going to be a lot of, if you're a fantasy football person, if you're a fantasy football participant, he's going to be one of the top receivers in your league. And I think the fact that he wound up signing this contract, I know it's a big load off of Commanders fans' shoulders, my co-host included. Yeah, this is a good deal for him. It gives him something to shoot for. He wants to earn that money. Not that he doesn't need to earn it, because he's a top receiver in this league, but the fact that he said, yeah, I want to earn all these incentives and shoot for a playoff spot with this team. I believe in this team. I believe in the direction they're going in, and I want to earn my keep. And I think he can live. I think he can live up to all the incentives that he put in the contract, or the Commanders put in the contract.
Just looking at how this contract was written, though, I feel like they could have got this done back in the spring, though.
Yeah, but
and
it's
I'm
the
afraid
drama.
it might come back to bite them.
It's the drama. It's the drama. It's that like I said, it's that element of suspense. For me, it is, at least.
I mean, even though he was still putting in work outside of the team, it's still not quite like working with the team. So it's going to be interesting to see how they start the season out with him and how much he's utilized, if they ease him in, if they throw him in like normal, or however this will go. And hopefully he stays healthy, because historically, when players hold out to this far in the preseason leading up to this, well, it's even though we haven't, preseason's over with the games, I still technically label this as preseason time because we haven't started the regular season yet.
Right.
When you go this far into preseason and you're this close to the start of the season, historically proven players that come in within this time frame or less don't play all that well, or at least the first month of the season, because they have a slow start. They got to ease them back into it. So I feel like this is kind of ridiculous that they let it go this long. Something like this type of contract is great, and I'm glad that both sides were able to meet in the middle. Yeah. And I think he'll still be able to excel for the majority of it, but I'm kind of concerned for this year because you're getting such a late start to it. You're behind the curve by like 4 months right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. In 4 to 6 weeks, we can regroup and discuss that again. But right now, that's my concern for it. But for the overall duration of the contract, it's looking pretty good. We'll see how that pans out for the team and for him. But I'm just happy that we finally got this deal done. So on paper right now, heading into week 1, at least it looks like we're going to get a fair shake at the NFC East.
Hey, who's giving them the business?
And that's what he gave them by making them wait this long for the contract. That's why I had to click that one. Now, speaking of somebody getting the business, the Patriots released safety Jabril Peppers after 3 years with the team. Which teams do you believe should consider his services for the 2025 season?
There's quite a few out there who could probably use a safety, or at least some safety depth. I know my New York Jets could use some safety depth for change. The Raiders could possibly be one of those fits. Hey, maybe even the Giants. He has a reunion with the New York Giants to bring in a veteran presence like Jabril Peppers. So I think it's just going to depend on your personal depth to see where he fits. And I'm pretty sure he'll have his suitors. He'll have his suitors for it. But it's just really shocking that the Patriots waited until a couple days after cut day to release him. So I don't know if it was just if it was an injury concern, if it was age concern. It wasn't a fit. He wasn't a fit in Mike Vrabel's scheme. That's the nature of the NFL. I mean, we saw some veteran players get cut this week in the form of Hunter Renfrow, who's been trying to make a comeback in the NFL. Although he re-signed he re-signed with the Panthers, so he still got a job with the Panthers after one of their wide receivers suffered a torn quad, unfortunately. And Marquez Valdez-Scantling is another name to watch out there. But now, as for free agent safeties and Jabril Peppers, I can see the Jets trying to woo him onto the team. Although I think they need more wide receiver help, so I think that should be the priority for them. The Giants could use another safety in that backfield for that nasty defense that they're going to have this year. But I think their priority should also be offense. Maybe the Raiders could use a veteran presence in that secondary. We'll see. But those are the 3 teams I could see. But I think the Raiders could possibly win out because they need some help on that defensive side of the ball this year for sure.
Yeah, it definitely looks like Vrabel isn't afraid of the holdover players from the previous regimes. So With Peppers being released, it also appears as he was guaranteed $4.5 million had he made the active roster for the team to start the season. So they save about $4.32 million by releasing him now, rather than keeping him, trading him at some point in the season, and maybe just getting a couple picks, and you're still out a couple $1 million when you can just release him now. But it's still very surprising, because you would think a player of that caliber, they would have at least tried to make a trade. But for all we know, they could have been trying over the last couple of weeks, and it just didn't pan out. So just figured might as well release them before they get, before they were on the hook for the money. So
yeah.
But with that,
yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but the Patriots still have the most cap room. Still, even with all the spending they did in the offseason, they still have the most cap room in the NFL. With this, and even with this move that they made, I think they have like $52 or $56 million in cap space. They still have, so they can still go shopping.
They could. They most certainly could. We'll see how things pan out with them, as they do have a lot of money to play with. But speaking of money to play with, as he's playing checkers with chess pieces, let's go ahead and talk about somebody that I saved for last, because we got to talk about good old Jerome. Cowboys trade defensive end Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers. And they received 2 first-round picks and 3-time Pro Bowl defensive tackle Kenny Clark in return. How much of an impact will Parsons make in Green Bay, and how much of an impact will Clark make in Dallas, as well as will Gerald make good choices with those 2 first-round picks?
Let's start with the first question. The impact that Parsons will have in Green Bay. It'll be massive. Now this defense was really good when they got to the quarterback last season. They had Green Bay Packers had 45 sacks last year. It was 8. They were actually 8th in the league in sacks. So, but the fact that you bring in Micah Parsons, who is a absolute beast when it comes to rushing the quarterback, that's going to up your total for sure. That's going to increase your total for sure. And he has that playmaking ability. Also, the thing is with Parsons, we all saw this coming. We all saw that Micah Parsons was going to be the odd man out when it came to the Cowboys and giving up big contracts. They give that huge extension to Dak Prescott when they really didn't need to. They gave a huge extension to CeeDee Lamb, although that was pretty justified. But you knew, I kind of had an inkling that after those 2 got signed, I said to myself, they're gonna have to trade Parsons. They're gonna have to trade Micah Parsons, because they're not going to be able to re-sign him for the money that he's going to want. And he wanted to be the top. He wanted to be the top defensive, the top non-quarterback getting paid in the NFL. So you got his wish. You got traded to Green Bay. They give him a huge contract right away. He's making $44 million for the next 4 seasons, which is a ridiculous amount of money when you think about it. But I think Green Bay thought he's going to be worth it to have that, get that paycheck. As for Kenny Clark, hey, it's too bad that he's going to have to go to Dallas, because he had a good thing going with the Packers. 3-time Pro Bowler, interior lineman. I don't know if that's what the Dallas Cowboys needed, but now they've got a deficiency at edge. The best edge one of the best edges in the game is now going to not, I wouldn't say they're going to a conference rival. They're not going to a division rival. They're going to a conference rival, which was part of the confusion for me, because I didn't think Gerald wanted to trade to an intra-conference team. Figured he would try to trade him if he was going to trade Parsons. This was going to be to an AFC team, because they want to keep him away. You only see him every 4 years instead of every single year. Then we come to Gerald. making good choices with these picks. If things pan out for the Packers, these picks are going to be in the 20s or they're going to be in the 30s if all things work out for them. But when you come to think about it, Green Bay, it's just too. I mean, I'm gonna run them with the meme. It's too bad that Toyotathon ends in January because the Super Bowl is played in February, and Jordan Love cannot be trusted in the playoffs. Especially, I mean, last season he got picked apart by the Philadelphia Eagles. Year before, he beat Dallas in the first round. He and the Packers beat Dallas in the first round, and then they lost a close game against San Francisco, and he threw, I think, 3 picks in that game. I believe he threw 2 picks in the second half alone in the 49ers comeback. But the Packers, as for Gerald, as for the Cowboys, those picks, unless for some reason the Packers, the wheels fall off the wagon and they wind up playing terribly this year, and they finish 7-10, 6-12, 6-11, which I don't think is going to happen. These picks will probably be late teens to early to late 20s picks, and you can still find good quality players in that late first round. But will he make good choices? If you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, you're saying no, he won't. All of us would tend to agree.
It's so bad. It's so bad. Oh man. But when it comes to this team known as the Dallas Cowboys, let's just go ahead and play it again and again and again and again. If the button would show up, where in the hell is the button at? There it is.
This has been yet another Beating a Dead Horse presentation.
That's what it's like when you watch a Dallas Cowboys team, no matter what season it's been since 1996. Okay. And along with this, unless you're a Cowboys fan.
Ain't nobody care. Who cares? Ain't nobody care.
I mean, is it really a total
surprise, motherfucker?
Shouldn't be. Not by this point. Not right now when it comes to Jerome. And speaking of which, Sick Diggy says, and nobody's happier than Jordan Love regarding Parsons' move to Green Bay, because it's less pressure he has when he plays the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. So, but Kenny Clark being over there, the defensive tackle, that could go against him because he does know Jordan Love by all the practices they've gone against each other in. So it'll be interesting. Dante is here and says, "What's up, guys? Great day for college ball."
Hey, it's true.
What's up, Dante? Yes, Texas lost. So we're going to be hearing so much about that over the upcoming days because Arch Manning lost his first true start as the starting quarterback for the Texas Longhorns against Ohio State.
So the Packers and the Cowboys play in week 4 on Thursday night.
And both of those players will be active by then.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Micah could be active for next week. I think he might be at a more limited role than he will be against the Cowboys because he'll have a month of the playbook by then, under his belt. But I don't anticipate him to play every series in week 1 because of this trade just now happening over the last couple of days.
Yeah. So you'll find him lying on a training table.
Still getting paid.
I had to.
Still getting paid. Looks like Dallas can change things around if they hit on the draft. We were just talking about that. College ain't running out of edge rushers, but it's not a lock. But Jerry's drafting.
Yep, that's the difference.
That's the problem. You got the Jones family, him and his son Steven, running the general manager's duties. I don't care who's in the position. They're the ones making the decision, and that's why they're in the spot that they're in right now, and it's not looking good to start this season.
Nope.
It's not like Pearson moved the needle since they it's not like Parsons moved the needle since they were bad last year. They need talent outside their receiver room.
Yep. I said I thought the Cowboys were going to draft Ashton Jeanty, but the Raiders took that spot and they drafted him first. I thought they would try to move up somewhere in the draft to take Ashton Jeanty because that kid's going to be great in the NFL, I believe. But oh well. Yep, the Raiders pick him up first, and he's going to change that offense for sure, especially with Pete Carroll in your as your head coach.
Yeah, but you got nobody throwing the football.
That's true. They don't.
I mean, Gino doesn't count, and you just traded for Kenny Pickett. Like,
well, because O'Connell's hurt.
Yeah, but still, you have Kenny Pickett. So
he has the ring. He has the ring.
If Gino catches it, for taking a kneel, but like if Gino catches a cold, then you have Kenny Pickett going in there. Do you trust him with Ashton Jeanty? Or if you're Ashton Jeanty, do you trust Kenny Pickett to be able to throw you the ball accurately?
Didn't he win the Eagles a couple games this past year when Jalen Hurts was hurt?
I mean, look at who he was playing with, Ryan. You throw the ball 10 yards south, and those wide receivers are talented enough. They're still going to find a way to catch the damn ball. Okay?
Understood, but I'm just letting you know.
No, I'm picking up what you're throwing down, but I'm just saying, Ashton Jeanty, if you have Kenny Pickett or Geno Smith throwing you the ball, it doesn't sound like it's going to be a fun season in Las Vegas, except for when the game's over and you go hit the machine.
Well, at least there's no taxes taken out of your paycheck by the state.
But what should be taken out of your paycheck as a result of is your dignity. Now, with that being said, that pretty much rounds out our Gridiron Scoop for this episode 99. We still have plenty more left to go through, and it includes my favorite part of the week. Let's go ahead and take it into the snowflake of the week. Brian, it's August, okay? It's not mother, father, and cold yet, okay? But we do have some snow-like situations for the flakes that have been going around in professional football. Go ahead and start us on out. Who is your selection for the worst player or unit of the week for the snowflake of the week?
My worst unit of the week is the BC Lions. BC Lions had a 14-3 lead. I'm not talking about the offensive side of the ball. I'm not talking about the defensive side of the ball. I'm talking about the entire team. They were heavy favorites entering the game against Toronto, but they laid a gigantic egg against what is considered a dog water team at this point in the CFL season, who were the defending champs. Let's not get it twisted. But this Lions team, they were at 14-3 at the end of the first quarter, and they absolutely just got beaten up in the rest of the game, and it wound up losing by 18 points. It was a 49-point swing from the first quarter onward, and you threw a pick. Nathan Rourke throws a pick six. Their defense is falling apart. They can't cover receivers. They can't tackle. Their offense isn't getting the run game established, even though Nathan Rourke had himself a 47-yard gain. I suspect on a broken play, but this was a game that BC had to have. They had to win this game to keep in the standing in the Western Division, trying to get themselves a playoff spot where they don't have to travel that far, and they absolutely blew it. And they got the week off this week. I'm hoping that head coach Buck Pierce is running them hard in practice, making them think about what they did, learn their lessons from last week, because they're going to need all that juice going forward from next week on. So my snowflake of the week is the entire BC Lions team, not just the offense, not just the defense, the entire team.
Trash, so bad. And surprisingly, I don't know if I've done this before, where my pick for the snowflake of the week was actually my selection for the grand champ of the week from the week prior. And
Oh,
you know who I'm going with, and I'm going with this guy right here. Trevor Harris is my selection for the snowflake of the week for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. 15 completions out of 23 attempts, 205 passing yards. He did average 8.9 yards per average completion, but out of 2 touchdowns, he threw 2 interceptions, and he also had 2 turnovers on downs for a total of 4 turnovers. So for that to go from being praised as the grand champ of the week, the dog of the week for week 11, for week 12, you did a complete 180. And yes, we can blame it on the other team, the Calgary Stampeders defense for stepping up, which was still a great choice for the grand champ of the week. But I expect a whole lot more out of you when you are my selection as the grand champ of the week from the week prior, and you have something to prove from the previous matchup when you saw how the Calgary Stampeders were your kryptonite in that game, and they proved it yet again in week 12. And for that, because you got smacked around like a dumpster pelican, I am going to nominate you as a dumpster pelican for my choice of the snowflake of the week.
Well said. Like that gradient and that purple blue gradient we had for the yeah, look at that. That's beautiful.
Thank you. You know, it feels snowflakeish. So it feels like it fits the mold, and
snowflakeish.
Yeah, throw the ish on the end. Yeah, the ish, because it is some ish when you got to deal with this right here, especially when you're a fan of the Roughriders. But with all that being said, it was still great selections for the dogs of the week, the snowflakes of the week. We still have one more commercial break we got to get to before we get to the last part of the show. And when we come on back, we still have the 2-minute drill and the post game before we round it on out. We'll see y'all here after this last commercial break.
Later, the post game. But coming up next, the 2-minute drill. This is Total Football Talk.
You know it, and I know it. Let's get ready for it. When that will happen, we don't know.
I'm telling you. I mean, look at the bottom of the graphic. Look at this man. Look at him. He'll be like a Dollar Tree Charlie Chaplin or something. Like, I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, look. Hey, stop playing games. Y'all already know. Go ahead and toss him some Willie Bucks. Ain't nobody playing around. Hey, $ D Willie 87. Go ahead, hit him up on the Cash App, and go ahead and give him some Willie Bucks. Look at Drew looking stoic, ladies and gentlemen. Stoic on that $10 bill. So go ahead, slide my man over some Willie Bucks, and we good. That's all I'm saying. We good. How about some Willie Bucks?
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
In a world where chronicles of the past are brought to the streams, whether the content is relatable or completely beyond your realm of life, there is no shadow of a doubt that this show is absolutely full of shenanigans. Get ready for
D Willie in the evening.
This Sunday at 10:05 p.m. Eastern.
Exclusively on Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Welcome back to Total Football Talk. Episode 99 is almost in the books.
99.
As we've been talking about a lot of things, NFL, CFL, and more on this program. We discussed this trade just before the final break. But also got to say that I need to update that last commercial pack. Been meaning to do that. I keep forgetting because I'm getting old. My bad. But with all that being said, let's go ahead and take this into this. Well, where's Where are we at? See, I'm getting old. I'm forgetting stuff. It's
2-minute drill.
All right, here for the 2-minute drill. We have 3 games to preview for this weekend in CFL action. There's a game tomorrow on Sunday at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time and 2 games on Monday. There are 3 teams on bye this week as a result of this wild setup of schedule. And those teams are the Montreal Alouettes, the BC Lions, and the Ottawa Redblacks, which, to be honest, all 3 teams really need a break right now because they've been playing absolutely terrible. When you look at tomorrow's game, the last game of August, and that being the 31st at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers travel to Saskatchewan to take on the Roughriders. Do you think the Roughriders bounce back and get the win against the Blue Bombers, or will they suffer their second straight loss there, Ryan?
By the way, just an FYI, in that Cash App spot, my Cash App is $who is Ryan MCC. So if you want my way here, come on, your boy could use some too.
Good luck. It's been a while since I got a donation, so
yeah, same. All right, so Winnipeg, Saskatchewan rivalry game, Labor Day Classic, Labor Day weekend. It's a great time. It's a great time for these rivalries to happen. Winnipeg and Saskatchewan, notwithstanding. This week's the Labor Day Classic. Next game is the Banjo Bowl. Look up that history. In this prairie rivalry. It's an interesting one. But Mike, this game, it's at Saskatchewan. Excuse me, it's a Sunday night game, so I got something to watch on Sunday night, which is really nice. Yeah, this is gonna be like all rivalry games are. This is gonna be another close game, and I think Saskatchewan's they're going to be motivated to play better than they did last week in the second half against Calgary. And this is a game where they're at home. There'll be a capacity crowd. There'll be a loud crowd at Mosaic Stadium. But they're taking on a Winnipeg Blue Bombers team that's kind of got their mojo back. You know, we always talk about them being left for dead in the conversation of teams that are going to be competitors for the Grey Cup, and we can't count them out. I mean, last week they played the regular brand. The last couple of weeks they've played their brand of bully ball against Eastern Division teams, and they're coming back. They're playing a Western Division team, which is an old rival. But I have to think that Corey Mace is going to have this team in front of a home crowd on a rivalry game. They're going to be motivated to play better than they did in the second half of that game against the Calgary Stampeders. And they're both coming off a pretty long rest, although Winnipeg, their rest is longer than Saskatchewan's. But I'm going to take Saskatchewan this game. I don't know if it'll be a walk-off like back in 2021 or 2019. It was 2019 at the walk-off. Kicking will be a big factor. You know, this will be a close game, but I'm going to take the Saskatchewan Roughriders in this one at home.
I agree with your sentiments. I don't see them losing 2 straight games because I just think that the Stampeders are just their kryptonite. It's not looking good if they face them in the playoffs at this current moment, but at least this week they don't have to face them again. The Blue Bombers have had their struggles this year. They've had their ups and downs, and they are not quite on the caliber of what Saskatchewan is when they're clicking on all cylinders against any other team besides the Stampeders. So for that being said, until I'm proven otherwise, I'm going to agree with you, and I'm going to go with the slightly homerized pick of the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Hey, who's giving them the business?
The next selection that we have here, we have 2 Monday games, and one of them being in the afternoon. 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, the Toronto Argonauts, who got that big win for themselves this past week, face the Hamilton Tiger Cats and Bo Levi Mitchell. Do you think that they have enough in the tank to muster up another consecutive win, or do they fall to the Hamilton Tiger Cats, who have been a pretty solid team this year in 2025?
Yeah, I'm going to say I'm going to go with Hamilton, and history's on the side of Bo Levi Mitchell. Fun fact, Drew, Bo Levi Mitchell in Labor Day games is 7-0 in his career.
Interesting.
History's on his side, and you always, again, you throw the records out the window when it comes to rivalry games, but I think Hamilton is much better than Toronto at this point. And Toronto's record, they've won a couple of games this year. One of them was in those. I think in all three of those their wins, they have scored a defensive touchdown. So they're gonna have to have their defense step up again, like they did last week, and get themselves a defensive touchdown. But I just think Hamilton's too good on both sides of the ball. They're coming off a bye where they lost a close game against BC before they went on bye, and they want that win. They want to keep going in the standings, and they want to stay in the first. They want to stay in first place in the East Division standings, and they got an opportunity to do that in this game against an opponent that has been struggling for the entire season. So I'm going to take the Hamilton Tiger Cats by at least a touchdown, I think, in this game. And just again, that history of Bo Levi Mitchell being undefeated on Labor Day is something else. I didn't realize that until the other day. But I'm gonna take Hamilton.
I like that stat line too, and it's like the times where I have gone against Bo Levi Mitchell. He's proved me wrong this year. I mean, he was a Snowflake of the Week once during this 12-week run so far of making these calls for these qualifications for it. So I don't see him slipping back into that category against the Argos. The BC Lions, for what they did this past week, I mean, their defense was just pretty bad, and the Tiger Cats defense has been pretty solid with their offensive core being pretty solid. I mean, they haven't played as well as like the Roughriders or whatnot for the majority of the season, but they've held their own against some pretty decent teams. And the Argonauts are not a decent team. So I am with you on that 100%. I see the Hamilton Tiger Cats winning this game at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time on Monday, Labor Day.
Hey. Who's giving them the business?
And with that being said, we have the Edmonton Elks and the Calgary Stampeders for the final game of the week. Elks win another consecutive game, or do the Calgary Stampeders finally end their little Hollywood run?
It's going to depend on what Edmonton does on offense. Are they going to try to establish the run early? We know Justin Rankin is a solid dual threat in the backfield, not only with the running the ball, but also catching the ball in the backfield. It's also going to depend on whether or not the Edmonton Elks can keep Cody Fajardo upright against this very nasty defensive line of Calgary. I believe Vernon Adams will. I was reading that Vernon Adams might not play this week a few days ago. I believe he's battling the flu, if I'm not mistaken, if I heard correctly. But there are indications right now that he will be playing in this game. So that's going to be a big difference for Calgary because they play much, much better offensively when Vernon Adams is in the lineup. It's at Calgary to start the Battle of Alberta. As much as I think, and I know that the Elks are better with Cody Fajardo at quarterback, I think if Vernon Adams does play, this is going to be a win for Calgary. So I'll take the Stampeders in this game.
For the sake of debate.
Yeah, there it is.
Because I haven't been able to do it yet, and we can't agree on everything. I mean, we can. It's not the debate show. But I just want to keep it interesting. For that, I'm going to disagree, and I'm going to say the Elks win their fourth consecutive game. Find a way to do it at home. So that way, out of all these games, one of us can be wrong next week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not both of us wrong together or both of us right together. This game right here, one of us is going to be wrong, and it's going to be me. Okay, but at least I can own up to it now a week ahead because that is my pick for the win. You have the Stampeders. I have the Elks getting their fourth straight win. We'll see if it comes into fruition or not for the Elks. More than likely, it's going to go in the way of the Calgary Stampeders.
Hey. Who's giving them the business?
And now it is time for us to transition on into the post game.
As long as it's one. Oh, that's great. I love it.
Out of all the things we've discussed in this episode or anything that we have seen throughout the course of this past week there, Mr. McCarthy, what are your thoughts? We still have plenty of time. go ahead and give us your thoughts here within the post game there, sir.
All right, I'm going to be brief again this week. First off, CFL, fix this nonsense with Montreal and Ottawa not playing on Labor Day, please. This is a rivalry. This should be a rivalry game, although it's not in the traditional sense like the other 3 games we have this weekend. Ottawa Montreal deserves to have its own rivalry game on Labor Day weekend. Secondly, if you want to balance out the schedules, expand. Get a 10th team in the league, please, so we don't have this problem where we have 3 teams sitting at home not playing and affecting their own standing on Labor Day weekend. So, that being said, for the next 12 weeks, starting this week, starting Saturday, starting next week, there's going to be football in every professional and college level. NCAA Week 1 starts this week. Week 0 was last week. It starts this week. And as of right now, as I'm watching, as we're recording, the Florida State Seminoles are actually beating Alabama, which is going to be, boy, if you're in Tuscaloosa, you're going to have the pitchforks and the torches out for killing DeBoer, poor guy. They lose this game to Florida State, who was dog water last year. But back to my point. It is a feast of football from next week, from September on, between the NFL starting up the regular season, between college football starting their season, and the CFL in the second half of the season, leading all the way up to the playoffs. And if you love football, you love this time of year. You love this time of year because, I mean, for myself, I love alternative football. I've been watching football since March. It's been nonstop. It's been nonstop for me. But that was the appetizer. That was the mere appetizer. That was the amuse-bouche and the appetizer. We are now in the main course. We are now in the main course of the NFL, NCAA college football, and the CFL season starting to wrap up. And by mid-November, CFL will be done and we'll still be in the thick of things in the NCAA and the NFL towards the playoff run. But for the next 12 weeks, I don't know about you, but I'm going to be feasting on this main course of football. And it's a glorious time of year. I love this time of year. The air, at least in upstate New York, the weather's starting to turn a little bit cooler at night. I mean, tonight's going to be in the 40s. It's going to be awesome. I mean, the last couple of nights have been in the 40s. So I enjoy this time of year. The leaves are turning. Get out the cider, get the apple cider donuts and the apple cider. Have yourself a little bit of a snack during the game. Get the wings, get the beer, get the pizza, get the burgers, get the smoker out, get the smoked meats going. Y'all, the next 12 weeks are going to be awesome. Full of football from Wednesday through Monday. For the entirety from September on. No matter what league you're paying attention to, no matter if you're watching college, if you're watching the NFL, if you're watching the CFL like I do, if you watch all 3 like I do, enjoy the meals, folks. Football's back, baby.
Football is back. I was I had myself muted for a second, and I said it, and I was like, I'm muted. But yes, football is back. Got your burgers, got your brats, got your brewskis. You are ready to rock and roll for football as it is officially back. Definitely great way to send out episode 99. And for an announcement that I have that'll make very much sense here in just a minute. So Mr. McCarthy sent us home pretty well for, this go home episode is I'm now telling you all now as it is, because this is the final Total Football Talk on Friday for right now. Once the CFL season ends, we'll more likely switch it back to Friday. But for right now, we're going to come back next week. We won't be back on Friday for personal reasons, but the following Friday will be the very first CFL edition of Total Football Talk, but it'll be extra. But extra actually comes back next Saturday for a one-off on Saturday as extra. We had a one-off on Saturday as Total Football Talk, and next week's our one-off as extra as we return with episode 26 of Total Football Talk Extra, which means we've got like 125 combined episodes between the two. in the can pretty much once we get to Total Football Talk Extra next week. That is wild, the amount of episodes that has gone on over the past 2 years. And with that being said, because this is coming to next Saturday and we'll be back to Fridays for Total Football Talk Extra after next week, we have to give you the announcement for where Total Football Talk is going to go. And that is going to move to this date and time right here. It's going to move to Sundays at 11:35 p.m. Eastern time after the Sunday night football game, so we can review the Sunday games within the NFL. And more than likely, Ryan and I will be reviewing the Monday and Thursday games on Friday, and then we'll do all the Sunday games on Sunday night at the end of the Sunday night football broadcast. So there is your update for Total Football Talk. We discussed it recently, not that long ago, of the potential things of where it would move and that it was going to be coming soon. Well, now that the NFL starts this upcoming week, what better time to start it than then to have two separate entities to bring in content for both platforms for us to discuss CFL and the NFL within these platforms. It was also announced earlier today that in September, based on some things I discussed in last week's episode, that this will be released in the month of September. Our guy Tavon Dawson from Legend on Earth to God's MVP will be out in September, as I'm currently working on that project right now. So I'll be working on that a little bit more tonight and in the nights to come until we get closer to an actual release date in September. It's going to come out in September, but we'll see how the next week or two goes within the production status. And lastly, for tomorrow night, we have the In or Out Sports Debate returning for episode 123, third consecutive week with this show back on the Sartoba Media airwaves, and third consecutive brother for me to come in and go against. 8-time Vault of Fame inductee Corey Mann with 2 N's will be here tomorrow night, the last show in August for Sartoba Media, the last In or Out Sports Debate in August. So for that being said, episode 123 with Corey will be tomorrow night at 8:05 p.m. Eastern time. We'll have some wrestling, some NFL, and some NBA action within this episode tomorrow night. So definitely look forward to that and getting up with him yet again. And this has been a great episode here, chopping it up, talking Canadian football with you there, Mr. McCarthy, as we've now finally ended the double-digit run for Total Football Talk. This was the very last double-digit episode. Going forward, I hope I see 4 digits. You never know. I mean, it's a lot harder to get to 4 digits than it is to get to 3. But we finally did it. We got to 100 episodes of Total Football Talk once that comes back next week. Could have done it without you there, brother. You've been a big help in that, throughout this summer and throughout different points throughout this double-digit run. And especially with Total Football Talk Extra, look forward to keeping that going with you there next week and continuing to talk some Canadian football, my man.
Ooh, love it. Love it.
But for all of you out there who've been with us in the chat, whether it be Dante or Sick Diggy or even our guy, Corey Mann with 2 N's, thank you all who have been here listening in, whether it's talking about Zubaz Pants or Constantina or whoever. A little bit of college football, whatever it is you've been dropping in the chat. We appreciate you all being out here and bringing us some shenanigans out here in these streams. We've only got one more thing left to do, and that's look at one semi-badass outro. For Mr. McCarthy over here to the side, we got to get back on the In or Out Sports Debate here real soon. His time is now just like John Cena and Dustin. Both of y'all at the same time back on there. Going off the rails, but that's what we do here. Again, only one more thing left to do, and that's look at a semi-badass outro. For Mr. McCarthy, I am Drew Willingham. Everybody, as always, please stay safe out here in these streets.